Hello, Australia. Just doing a live deposition for public awareness, public knowledge about corruption in Australian courts from my experience from 2010. Federal Court 2010 to get contact with my one-year-old son then. Went to see the court consultant, had an interview, went into court. The court consultant, under oath on the stand, accuses me of extreme domestic violence when there never was any, and also there was never any allegations by the ex that there was any domestic violence. There's no police records. Unfortunately, she's not Australian. She got as soon as she got Australian permanent residence, she got legal aid, subsidies, pension, housing, and pretty much it was 8 years in court trying to just get proper contact, reasonable contact with my son. Unfortunately, the perjury and fraud and treachery of the courts is just rampant. It's global, it's worldwide. So even after 4 years in court, a psychologist interviewed my ex, and she went on the record on tape that there was never any domestic violence. So we went back to the court and tried to get some better orders, and we just originally after 50 contact, shared care, but because of the perjury and fraud by the government's own consultants, we ended up going all the way to 3 judges in appeals court, and I think we went through 6 judges. So we proved there was no domestic violence, and that was perjury by the government. And then they also claimed the primary attachment was the mother, but we had videos from my mother's changeover that my son, even from 1-year-old, wouldn't go to the ex willingly, had to go crying. We put that video into the court, and that was probably the second hearing, actually. And of course, that was just ignored. So what's happening in the courts all throughout Australia, and I know there's a global problem as well, but they simply ignore the facts, rules and laws. And there's just complete chaos for 8 years for us. I went to the full bench, 3 judges. They just keep throwing it out there. They ignore the facts, rules and law. The facts are there's never any domestic violence. There was perjury by the government, and had a secure attachment with me, but insecure attachment with the mother. So they lied about everything, and it's just absolute corruption. So we tried to start this political party. So we went to AEC. We had 1,000 members. We had 10 people in executive. We had constitution. Had everything. And the AEC were running a scam where they were on their website. They had put a guide to register a new political party, where it said that we had to submit 550 members, and they wouldn't let us submit any more. So we forced us to take our first 550 members from our list, submit that. They made us wait 3 months, pay $500, and then come back to us and said, well, 100 of those 550 members you submitted are invalid, so you don't have enough members. They wouldn't let us submit any more of our members, even though our list was still growing. So it was, we complained of reaching the electoral roll, the Electoral Act, freedom, political freedom, and there was a section 128, the Criminal Code and Federal Criminal Code as well, interfering with political liberty, and there's also fraud as well. But of course, the government ignored that, and they, even after 12 months trying, refused to allow us to register a political party. So another indictment on the government. And then what happened recently is my mother passed away 2020, January 2020. She had a will in a bedroom that was taken, And then there's a bunch of law firms in Brisbane refused to file a document, and with corrupt courts and corrupt judges, they just avoiding costs against hundreds of thousands of dollars, and basically just refused to abide by Queensland rules and laws. But we went all the way to the High Court, same thing, and everyone knows the High Court's corrupt as well. So we've just been fighting corruption after corruption in Australia, and it's proven. So you go to your state and federal members of Parliament, mine are local here, both Liberals, and Senator is the Assistant Attorney General at the moment, federal government, and you just don't get a reply. They just ignore you year after year after year. All these criminal complaints about the government, and basically, in a bad situation. But there's a lot of people in the same situation. We're trying to get them together and get working, but it's not easy to get people to work together. And so that's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And what you'll find is on the internet is when they report these cases, case numbers, they absolutely ignore the facts, rules, and laws. And you can actually point to the facts and rules of law they ignore, but you've got no voice. You've got no voice in court. You've got no voice in the media, and certainly got no voice in government as well. So you're pretty much trapped, forced to pay personal tax when you go to work, and then they just ignore you and commit crimes against you. So they're much worse than the mafia. But people just don't realise how out of control the Australian government are. So we're trying to give people a fair warning that they can't trust the government, they can't trust the court, can't trust the judiciary, lawyers, or anything like that. But that's pretty much standard. But we've got the evidence, proof. So we've got a federal election coming up, and so we've just got to stop the AEC and just stop the government, especially the ALP. They're obviously to us just a bunch of raving communists. This is just a test, so we can get this to work, get a video working.